The Kia Hyundai channel. My name is Gabby, and today I have the most affordable three-row all-electric SUV in Kia's lineup, and also the only three-row all-electric SUV in Kia's lineup. This is the 2026 Kia EV9 in the light rear-wheel drive configuration. It's the very first time we're filming this here on the channel, so I'm quite excited. I will start right off the bat by saying this is the most affordable model or trim level of this EV9, and it's also most affordable than its closest competitor, the Ioniq 9, by $3 whole on the MSRP. So I'm not saying it's a great deal, but it's a pretty dang good deal. Today's video, we're going to do a full tour of everything you get from the interior to the exterior, and of course, we'll talk about the technical specifications, things like range and or battery capacity. Again, this video is being filmed live, so if you see me fall down, if we lose internet, if anything happens, it's all happening in this video. There's no editing, there's no cuts, there's no script. It's just us and an internet connection. That being said, let's get right into it, starting off with the front end of the vehicle. I've already gone ahead and turned the lights on. We'll get a full look at the exterior design, talk about our powertrain, and of course the power output. With this vehicle, we have a smaller battery capacity. So it is a 76.1 kilowatt-hour lithium-ion polymer battery. There is no heat pump on the light rear-wheel drive configuration. If that is a must-have for you, you will hop on over to our long-range rear-wheel drive, which is one trim level up. Now, I will say already with this battery capacity in this vehicle, we have about 370 kilometers of rated range. And Kia has done, I think, very well with the way they rate their cars, their electric vehicles ranges. They typically under-promise and over-deliver. So 370 is not what we actually see out of this car on a full charge. With that being said, how you personally drive and what your driving looks like, we'll change that for better or for worse. On the front end, we already have full LEDs, so our daytime running lamp that expands all the way vertically and then a sharp horizontal cut towards the grille. And the main headlamp as well too is a projection style LED, which is a premium style of headlamp. Instead of being kind of focused all over the place, there is a steady beam exactly where you need it most. You also have intelligent high beam assist, and we move on our LEDs towards the tail lamps and even our interior lights too. As far as tech and safety go, we have forward-facing ultrasonic parking sensors that will give you an audible alert and a visual alert too inside the cabin to show you just how close you are to something and warn you if it's getting a little risky. There is a map with green, yellow, and then of course red indicators to show you when you are getting too close. For design elements, we have a lot of satin chrome, which is a very nice touch. I know a lot of the times with electric vehicles, and most EV haters will say they always look boring, it is very good to see a mix of materials, lots of nice contrast, making this car stand out a bit more. And I will say, regardless of the materials that they used, just the stance of this vehicle, it is very tall, it's got wide shoulders, sharp edges, it demands a lot of road presence, and in my opinion, it is an absolutely beautiful large SUV. They did it well. I'm going to pop the hood to talk about the frunk. Because this is a rear-wheel drive configuration, we have a larger frunk capacity, which we always like to see. Not just for frunk space, but also when we head towards the rear of the vehicle for the trunk area, you'll notice there's a good amount of space behind the third row. And then of course, if it's not in use, you can always fold it down and have a completely flat surface. So the frunk space goes very deep. Unfortunately, I don't have the exact dimensions, but I believe it's about 70 or so liters of frunk space. We have a mesh net pocket and then access to your air filter right from here. There's also an LED lamp to illuminate this area, so if you are digging through it at nighttime or in a low light situation, you can actually see what you're doing. And as far as everything else under the hood, obviously there's going to be no engine, not even a front-mounted motor. This is a single motor rear-wheel drive configuration like I mentioned earlier. So along the back, we'll have 160 kilowatts, that's the output, for our rear motor. In horsepower and torque terms, we'll get about 215 horse with 258 pound-feet of torque. Like I mentioned earlier, the range estimate, or range number, is 370 kilometers. Sorry guys, I'm kind of losing it today. It's Friday, I didn't sleep good. For something that looks a little familiar than what you might be used to, that is our washer fluid. That is all. All right, let's take a quick look at the wheels. We have a 19-inch alloy with an aero blade. Now, an aero blade is essentially a wheel cover that just increases the aerodynamics of the vehicle. So with electric cars and especially this one, you may look at it from afar and think, wow, that looks like a rectangle with wheels. Because it is. But this actually has about the same drag coefficient as the C8 Corvette, which looks like a sports car. That looks like it should be aerodynamic. This vehicle is super slippery, so when it comes in terms to, air resistance and drag, this vehicle does very well, and the wheels are a part of that. This kind of design is going to minimize the resistance of the air and maximize the flow, so everything passes through this vehicle without any drag. Of course, there's going to be a little bit, but minimized drag, of course. For our tire, we have a Kumo tire. It's an all-season. Definitely recommend winter tires, regardless of if you get all-wheel drive, rear-wheel drive, a front-wheel drive vehicle. All-wheel drive does not substitute winter tires. You can't get all-wheel drive and not do winters if you are someone who actively drives in snowy, icy, slippery conditions. I can go on about this for forever. Fight me if you want, but winter tires are the only thing that actually help you stop better. And that is what really matters. All right, for our front brakes, they are ventilated disc brakes, and so are the rear. For the rear, we also have a 5-link multi-link suspension. Your windshield is an acoustic laminated windshield, so essentially there's an extra inner layer of sound deadening material that's going to reduce road noise for a quieter cabin. Also within our windshield, you'll notice there's a camera in the very center and a sensor too. Now the camera does a whole lot for your vehicle's active safety systems, so things like our advanced forward collision avoidance that picks up pedestrians, cyclists, and of course other vehicles while you're turning in junctions and just in regular driving conditions. Your vehicle will warn you if it detects the risk of a collision and then also apply brake force to avoid a crash. Top of that, there's also lane safety, so lane keeping assist and lane follow assist. These two systems often get confused, but they are different. Lane keeping assist sees the lanes and gives you an audible alert with a slight nudge if you're about to depart from it. So if you don't like signaling your lane changes, you'll hate it. And then lane following assist sees the upcoming changes and steers into them gently. So it's a bit of a cruise control for your steering. I quite love it. And of course, you could turn one on or the other, turn them both off, turn them both on. It is totally up to you. And on top of that, there is also highway driving assist. You guys, it might sound like I'm just listing off a bunch of random words. Sounds like that to me too, but all of these safety systems really do a great job at just adding to the driver convenience. They're always on an extra lookout for things in terms of safety, but they can also be shut off and tuned towards more so your preference. Highway driving assist is definitely more so a convenience thing than a safety thing, and I'll show you what systems are in use when we do have it on. So number one will be the navigation. This vehicle is from factory standard navigation. We also have our radar plate along the very center. This radar plate will measure the distance of my car and the vehicle ahead of me. And when I choose to turn on my cruise control, it'll automatically change itself to highway drive assist if I'm on a registered highway. So here in Canada, we got the 400 series highways, 403, 407, whatever you want to take. The vehicle will know the speed limit of that highway, if there's any bends in the road, and always keep you at a safe distance from the car ahead of you, and even do its own lane changes. So if I indicate a right lane change, my vehicle will check to make sure it's safe, and as long as my hands have stayed on the wheel, it'll do it automatically for me. It'll also change based off if someone cuts you in. So if someone cuts you off, slams on the brakes, your vehicle will slow down and come to a full stop if you hit stop and go traffic. So very great driver assistance function or driver convenience function, but not necessary to use if you don't want to use it. That is totally up to you. It's your car. We're just living in it. Maybe not me. All right, now for your mirrors, they are standard power folding and heated. You get an LED turn signal indicator, a slight touch of gloss black along the bottom for style points, and then on the flip side, we have our blind spot detection. So that small icon will illuminate whenever there's a vehicle in your blind spot to give you a passive warning, and then if I was actively signaling, it would also beep to give me that passive and audible. If I still try to change lanes and the car detects the risk of a collision, it will give opposing brake force to avoid said blind spot collision. Your door handles are power pop out. Can't think of the proper word right now, you guys. I have a total brain fart, but they are power retractable, power flush handles. So if the vehicle's unlocked, they'll pop out like this. Once you lock it and start driving, they'll fold in. And again, a lot of electric vehicles will have some sort of flush style handle because of aerodynamics. It all comes down to the aero of the dynamics. This is also proximity based, so as long as the key is somewhere on you, you can simply walk up to your vehicle, it'll sense you, reach for the handle, it'll open up, and then once you're done, press on the little divot there to lock it. The vehicle will also come standard with the option for Digital Key 2.0, which essentially lets you use your Kia Connect smartphone app to download a digital key. So it adds to your Apple Wallet or your Google Wallet. And just the same way you would pay with your phone, you enter your vehicle. So you unlock it, start it, drive it without having your key on you. It's pretty cool. If you're tech savvy, you might absolutely love it. If you're not necessarily too tech savvy, it's there if you want it, but it's not mandatory to use. For the panels of the vehicle, everything is finished in a typical matte black plastic, so as far as road debris and anything that could get kicked off, thrown at your vehicle, you don't have to worry about that gloss black paint that shows every single scratch and every single imperfection. It is far more rugged and durable, which I know I love. Your charge door is on the passenger side, and due for 2026 on the EV9, we have our North American charging standard port. So some people like to call this the Tesla port. I'm going to choose not to call it that. Essentially, still on the passenger side, we have an illumination, so you can plug in at nighttime and no problem. And then our state of charge indicator is this cube right over here. So seeing as half of it's illuminated, we can estimate roughly a 0.5%, 50% charge. Power close my door, I'll press there, or I can override my charging settings by pressing and holding this button here. Now this vehicle is quite cool in its charging. So we have a 400/800 volt charging architecture on this vehicle, which means if I do find myself needing to use a 350 kilowatt charger, I can go from 10 to 80% in 24 minutes, which is extremely fast. This vehicle also has a battery heating system. So if it's a very cold day, I'm needing to stop at a DC fast charger, I can precondition my vehicle's battery, so that way when I do arrive to my charging station, I'm not going to be sitting there for extra time just waiting for my vehicle to prime itself to accept a charge. It'll start heating itself as I'm on my way to the charger, plug it in, and we can start getting that 350 or whatever advertised amount of energy flow right off the bat. If you're going to home charge with a level 2 charger, 11 kilowatts will get you from 10 to 100% in 6 hours and 45 minutes, just under 7 hours, and that is going to be a heck of a lot quicker than the long-range, larger battery capacity models of the EV9. Because again, this one is 76.1. All right, now let's take a look at the back. For an entry model, we get quite a bit of impressive comfort equipment, one of which is our smart lift gate that, of course, includes a power open, and also a height adjustment. If I don't want to press the button to open it, I can also simply just walk up to the rear with as long as the key is on me, it'll automatically open. Behind our third row, we have over 500 liters of cargo space. These seats do have the option to adjust the amount of recline as well, so I can maneuver it to a better position for me, kick the headrest back up, and get slightly more room. The right-hand side is where we'll find an interior outlet. So this is a vehicle to load outlet. I can use my vehicle's high voltage battery to power whatever device I've plugged into here, and not my 12-volt battery. So I don't know about you guys, but if maybe you've been to the drive-in movie theater, and then when it was time to leave, you went to go start your car's battery was dead. This is essentially not utilizing that 12 volts that killed your car in the past, and using your vehicle's actual driving range high voltage battery. Very, very handy if you are someone who likes to camp a lot, or maybe you experience frequent power outages. You can plug whatever you need into your car and still make it work. It's actually quite cool. I've camped in our previous demo EV9 many times, and it was so, so nice to wake up in the morning, not have to tear down a tent, just hop in the driver's seat and leave. All right, so underneath the floorboard, I can't lift it all the way because of this thing, but we have a cargo net, our inflator, and then our sealant for our tire mobility kit. Now most EVs, hybrids, and smaller vehicles will have a mobility kit instead of a spare tire, because where are we going to put it on this car? Certainly not underneath and not under here. But also it helps you get back on the road very quickly if you do experience, picking up a nail and starting to lose air from a tire. In this pack here, sorry, it's really velcroed onto the ground, we have our level 1 charger. So this comes with your vehicle. I'll flip it over. This is just a regular 3-prong household outlet, otherwise known as a 110 volt. Plug it into the wall, just like you would your cell phone, and then plug the other end into your car. Takes about 64 hours. That's quick. But of course, it doesn't require any special wiring. So let's say you're going away for a weekend and wherever you're staying does not have a proper EV level 2 charger. Plugging it in over the next course of a few days will get you to 100%, slowly but surely. And then as we work our way over towards the front of the vehicle, we'll take a look at the inside. The inside is where things get really impressive, and it's hard to believe that this is an introductory model. For both the front driver and passenger seat, we get 8-way power controls. There they are. They also have a nice finish to them. So typically on an introductory trim level, you'd expect a lot of black plastic that all looks the same. There's a lot of mixed materials on this car, again, giving it a very premium feel. As far as your seating material goes, it's a leatherette finish or a synthetic leather, but it still feels buttery soft the way a typical leather would. They're also going to be heated and ventilated with the controls to adjust being mounted on the door card itself. You have 3 different levels for either or, and then of course the proper illumination. So you have a quick guide or a quick view of what you've changed. Your handles are finished in a nice gunmetal material, and then you have the same on the door card portion here itself, and also for your speakers. Funny enough, whether you get the entry model that we have here today or the top of the line that has a Meridian premium sound system, the speaker design is almost entirely the same. We get the same hash marks, the same gunmetal finish, just not a Meridian speaker in this specific trim level. So they didn't really sacrifice styling with the more introductory models, which I really do like. Along the driver's knee, we have a button to release our fuel door or our charge door, a button for our front release, our lift gate, traction control, and then our electronic parking brake. The steering wheel itself has a nice leather-wrapped finish. It is not heated, unfortunately, in this trim level. You'll have to go up 1 trim for that. But we do have our paddle shifters that are mounted right on our steering. So your right paddle shifter will be to decrease the level of regenerative braking, and then the paddle shifter on the left will be to increase. There are 4 settings, I guess you could say 4. Now, as far as levels go, there's 3. So there's level 4. Oh my gosh, you know what? There's a whole lot more. We have level 0 regenerative braking, which is nothing. That means as soon as I let off my accelerator, my car will coast as normal. So if you've had a previous vehicle be regular gas, you never experienced regen, it'll just coast and coast and coast until it no longer has momentum. Level 1 will have a slight amount of regenerative brake force. Level 2 will build upon that. Level 3 will build upon that, making it quite a bit more aggressive. And then there's I-pedal. I-pedal is essentially one pedal driving. So as soon as I let off the accelerator, my car comes to a complete halt. The brake force is very strong. And essentially what regenerative braking does, if you haven't had an electric, hybrid, or plug-in hybrid car before, your electric motor, instead of propelling you forwards, changes its function and instead is regenerating energy. So on a gas vehicle, that would otherwise be wasted. You would be hitting the brakes and it would just be heat. Nothing else goes back into your car. On an electric vehicle, that is energy getting stored back into your battery that you can use later on, and also less wear on your friction or mechanical brakes. So you can extend the brake life of your vehicle and also slow your car down at the same time while getting some extra range back. We love to see it. When you first get your EV, you may notice your driving's a bit jerky, just getting used to the strength of the regenerative braking pull. So I would say probably start on level 1 or level 2 and work your way up to I-pedal if that's something you want to do. Again, you don't have to, but it extends the life of your brakes and puts a little bit more power back into your car. Sounds like benefits to me. On the left-hand side, we have our driver assistance functions. So this button will turn on our cruise control, which automatically goes to highway drive assist if we're on a highway. You'll set your speed with the plus and the minus, set your following distance with the bottom left, and then adjust your lane keep and lane follow assistance with this button here. In the very middle, we have a drive mode select. So by pressing this button, I can select between a whole lot. Let's start right off at the top. We have eco mode, normal, sport, a customizable My Drive, and snow mode. The right-hand side will change things, more so media-based. So you have your voice commands, your volume, phone button, a programmable favorites, and a mode. These two arrows will cycle between your selected media. So if I'm listening to Bluetooth audio, I can go to the next song, reverse songs. If it's the radio I'm listening to, next station, previous station, that kind of thing. As far as your gauge cluster goes, it is a full 12.3-inch digital display. You'll have your speedometer red on the left, and then your estimated range on the right-hand side. Now, we have about 32% charge, and we are reading at over 100 kilometers of range, which is quite good considering this vehicle is rated for 370 with a full charge. So we're already doing better than expected. In the very center, we have our trip or our navigation, and then we also have a viewpoint for our lane assist or lane safety. Between your trip computer, you can cycle through so many different variables since your last reset, since last charge. And then we also have a range guide and our tire pressure. Tire pressure won't show anything while you're parked, but as you drive, it'll give you active live feedback. All right, I'll just quickly point out this level 1 icon here. That is our current selected amount of regenerative braking. So of course, if I were to adjust it, it would, I have to be driving, but if I were to adjust it, it would go as my paddle shifters would change. This little screen here is a 5-inch display dedicated to your heating and ventilation, your HVAC controls. You can select driver only, so if it's just you commuting and you want to make the most out of its efficiency, it's only going to work to heat or cool your area. And if this seems a little bit of an odd spot to put your controls, it is. It's kind of in the way of the steering wheel. It's right behind. It's hidden by the steering wheel. So that's why they included this plus here. It'll bring the HVAC to full screen where you can easily adjust the temperature for both the front, the passenger, and then of course the rear. The rear has their own separate climate control panel, but if your kids can't be trusted, you can also lock it. Let's just shut everything off so we don't have any extra noise. Shut it off in the front as well. And there we go. Do you see how it had a little bit of a display showing where the air was currently going? I think that's quite nice. What do you guys think? All right, so we'll turn that off again and then we'll head back. A good thing about this plus and X arrow is it'll default you back to whatever screen you were on previously. So if you were looking at your map, you don't have to find your map again after. For the main head unit, it's a 12.3-inch display with Kia's latest software. It's called CCNC. You have 3 separate driver profiles, one of which is guest, and then the others you can configure to your family needs. And anytime you make a change, whether it be to media, safety settings, or anything really, it'll be linked to your own driver profile. I'm very happy to say that as far as wireless CarPlay and Android Auto goes, we finally have that standard on all of our vehicles with our larger displays. So any of our new Kia or Hyundai products that have CCNC software will have wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Works like a charm, takes up the full screen, and I mean, as soon as you hop into your car, it automatically connects. So if you forget your cord, that is A-okay. Now, I'll show you guys a couple other functions, both physical and verbal-wise from me. We have these haptic buttons here. Looks like it's built into the dash material because it is, but when you do press on it, it does give you a little bit of feedback. Separate search function. When you first get your car, this will be your best friend. You can search for whatever it is you're looking for, whether it be a navigation item, like, nearest gas station, charge station, or something within the vehicle's head unit itself, like date and time. Volume knob, some quick toggles for climate. So if you're not a fan of the touchscreen display here, you can still get things done by using these toggles. Change the temperature, the fan speed, the mode, and then passenger temp. Along the bottom, this part is always hard to film just based off the angle. We have 2 USB-Cs, one on the left for being for data connectivity and charging, and the one on the right just being for charging. There's also a 12-volt inverter. Your center console is a floating style center console, so because our gear shift is not located anywhere here, we have more room for your things. Large cup holders, the small, slim pocket, perfect for pens or a pepperoni stick. And then we also have our fingerprint scanner. So if you do use the driver profiles, you can link your fingerprint, hop in your car, scan it, and it jumps right into your driver profile. Auto hold, downhill braking assist, park view camera, and then we have our parking sensors. You can quickly turn them on or off here. I'll show you guys what our rear view camera looks like. It's a high quality camera. You can easily see the mats on the floor and my mom's Kia Sorento that's being plugged in over there. And then we also have a wireless phone charger, just below. Behind that, there's a small bit of covered center console storage, only a small bit. That's okay. Underneath this floating style, we have a pretty large and shielded pocket. So anything you need to put in there, you don't have to worry about it flying around while you are steering or driving your vehicle. And I have Adam come on over to the passenger side where he'll show you guys the seats, but before he gets over there, I'll show you guys our glove box location. We'll open it up in a second. And then also the dash material. There's a little bit of a cloth insert right over here, so more texture and a lot of mixed materials like I mentioned. That same gunmetal finish on the door expands all the way across the dash. Adam, I'm just gonna open the glove box and then we'll also talk about the passenger seat. So glove box is very, very deep. Our EVs have the largest glove boxes in our lineup. You can really put anything in there. And then as far as our passenger seat goes, it is powered, like I mentioned earlier, with multi-way adjustments. We got our backrest here, our two-way lumbar support, and then our height adjustment, as well as the angle. So all of the changes I had for myself as the driver, the passenger also gets. Now, if you are comparing this to Hyundai's Ioniq 9, their vehicle is, again, $3 more expensive, so it's gonna cost you, but it's also not going to have the synthetic leather seat. While it does have more range and a larger battery, it won't feel as premium as this trim. If this is what's important to you, I would say the EV6 might be the better car, but if what you really want is range, then the Ioniq 9 is the better car, if you can swing the extra $3 before tax. All right, now for our headrest, it is a cloth, almost net style material, very, very comfortable, and the seats themselves are quite wide. I like how they're two-tone finished as well, so premium materials all around, even though this is the entry. Again, I'm not mad at it at all. By no means is this a base model, it's just the introductory trim level. Your mirror over here is an auto-dimming rear view. So come nighttime with all those bright LEDs in the cars behind you, this will automatically dim, and your interior cabin lights are also LEDs, spotlight style. So you simply touch this icon here, they'll come up to life. The headliner has that same beautiful fabric material. I like how it's not that typical beige that every car has. I hate that beige. This is a lot nicer. All right, now let's take a look at the back seats. Adam, what did you break? Oh, no. All right, now these seats over here, we have a bench seat. So 7-seater configuration, and that is only available, or it's the only option, I should say, on the light rear-wheel drive configuration. The seats, they can move separately. They're all on a rail system, so if the people in the third row need a little bit of extra space, whoever's sitting in the second row, if they're feeling nice enough, they can give it to them or take it from them. Let me demonstrate. To adjust these seats here, we have a bar. Move it forwards on its rail or all the way back. This is the maximum amount on the rail. For recline, you can adjust it to your liking too. Lock it in many different positions. Perfect, nice and easy. Now I'm gonna head on over back towards this section here so I can demonstrate how they move together. This will be the 60 of our 60-40 split. The backings of the seats ahead of us have a plastic cover. Does have an elastic base, so you can adjust it and stretch it. And then the backings are plastic, while the upper seat back is that fabric material. Again, it's not too light of a fabric where I anticipate stains will be a nightmare. It's dark and heathered, so it should be more forgiving. Right over here, we have a little bit of a storage sling. Some of the other models will have this come out and it's completely covered. On the light rear-wheel drive, it's just space with a little cover. We got our 2 cup holders right built here, and then our USB-Cs built into the backings of the seat. There's also a valet seat for the passenger, so if you have people coming in the second or third row and no one's sitting up front with you, you can adjust the seat without hopping out and running around. For our climate control, all of our adjustments are right up at the top. So we have temperature, fan, and then everything in between is in relation to the direction, the AC, or the auto function. You can also shut it off completely. Like I showed earlier on when we were at the front of the vehicle, you can also lock the rear climate. So you can set it up at the front, lock it, so no one back here can change it and mess it up for you. The air vents are located on the ceiling, so if you do have kids in car seats, it'll actually go towards them and not towards the car seat or towards your rear passenger's kneecaps. It'll actually cool you, it'll actually warm you up, feels much better. And it also looks very premium. Speaking of premium, the door cards have the exact same materials we saw up at the driver's and passengers area. You have express windows all throughout this vehicle, which essentially means when you want to put them down or bring them back up, it is simply one touch. The vehicle's off right now, so it won't do anything, but gotcha, Adam. Now, in terms of active safety, again, this vehicle has a ton. So if you are shopping for your family, you want a vehicle that will move everyone safely and efficiently. It doesn't get much more fuel efficient than an EV, I'll say that. The 370-kilometer range sounds a little bit scary at first, but also really depends on your lifestyle. Are you driving 370 kilometers every single day? Maybe, but probably not. So it is something that you can certainly work with, and I will say our new charge port also opens up a lot of other charging options now, so that is very, very handy. If you are someone who drives mostly in the city too, that's where EVs will really shine. They are far more efficient with stop and go, slower driving than the typical fast, no stop highway driving. That's where you'll see your range get eaten up quite quick. So it's a good vehicle. I'm very happy with it, but we're not done yet. We got to check out the third row. Our lights did shut off, so I'll have Adam go and turn them back on while I hop into the third row. Now, I'm doing this not the best way. Usually, we would enter from here, but at least you could see I still did it. To get into the third row, there's a button located on the shoulder area of both of our outside seats. And then we also have a button right over there to do the same. This gives you a nice, easy passageway to get into the third row. Keep in mind, all of these seats are at their maximum amount of adjustment on the rail, and these seats are even reclined back. So it's gonna look a little bit tight, but this is the worst case scenario right now. Gonna get behind these seats here, where my knees are certainly touching. I'll have Adam try to work the camera around here. But hopefully, the people sitting in front of me don't hate me, and they would adjust their seat a little bit. Up at the top, as you can see, we have LEDs, we got our ceiling mounted vents, and then towards our side, we will have access to our speakers, as well as USB-Cs for charging on both sides, and a cup holder. I guess technically 2 cup holders, one larger, one small, and quite a bit of storage. There's little divots into the sidewall here that you can put smaller things. And then if you're never going to use your third row, it's more so just storage, we have these divots here where you can integrate a cargo cover. So the cargo covers that we sell from our parts department are almost like a shower rod where they're kind of suspension based. You kind of put them in on this side, and then pull it out when you do want to activate it. It locks onto the tailgate itself. That way no one can see what's in your trunk from the rear window. So very nice. Anything else I want to share with you guys? I mean, these seats, like I mentioned earlier, they do recline. So there are tabs, probably easier if I show you guys this one, here that you can pull to adjust the amount of recline on the fly, get yourself a little bit more comfortable. And of course, like I said, the amount of leg room or knee room you'll have really depends on the people sitting in front of you. This, again, worst case scenario. That is all. I'll point out the windows too. The windows are quite large on this vehicle and they are very tall. So you get a good amount of visibility outside of the cabin and also a good amount of light coming in too. So it doesn't feel confined. It doesn't feel like you're not a part of the car. You're still very much a part of the car. So very nice. All right, let's hop out. Getting out of the car is easy. This is a pretty wide walkway. And then I will bring the seat back. To move the seat back into its originating seating position, you'll just give it a push, and then it drops back down. Very nice. Let's close up the car door. I'll answer a few questions, see what you guys have to say. If you've ever seen a light rear-wheel drive, let me know. This is the very first time I've noticed one here at our dealership, and I said, hey, we gotta film it. We definitely have to film it. But I was very surprised at just how luxurious the cabin was. I love the mix of materials. I love the fact that we have heated and ventilated front seats. They're both powered. You get navigation standard, highway driving assist level 2 standard, great active safety functions, and then of course great actual structural internal safety. Is there a skylight or a sunroof option? On the EV9, there most certainly is, but not on this specific trim level. I believe it starts on the premium trim level for the EV9. Adele said, Gabby, it's my birthday on Monday. A little shout out would be nice. Happy early birthday, Adele. You are a Thanksgiving baby this year. So Monday is Thanksgiving for us here in Canada, and it's also Adele's birthday. So everyone in the comments, please wish Adele a happy birthday. I will celebrate for you. What are the other trims called? What does light mean? So light typically means our shorter range or standard range. And then land in the Kia naming segment typically means all-wheel drive. So whenever you see EV9 Land GT Line or Land Premium, that means all-wheel drive GT Line or all-wheel drive Premium. Rear-wheel drive doesn't get a fancy name like air, fire, or water. So it's just rear-wheel drive light. Adele said, I remember bringing donuts to the dealership on my birthday last year. I won't be able to do it this year, but who knows? Oh, yeah, that's a pretty bad deal. You bring us donuts on your birthday? Oh, Daniel said, going in for heart valve surgery on the 15th. Well, Daniel, I hope everything goes well. That sounds very scary, but I hope all the best for you. All of the best. Just gonna quickly look for any questions related to the EV9 real quick. I don't know, we're at 36 minutes for time, so that's not too bad. Gabs, I'll trade you a Priority Hyundai license plate frame for a Brantford one. Sure. Send me your address, I'll ship one out to you. Canada Post is actually on strike right now, but we'll get it to you eventually. Keith asked if the CCS and J1772 adapters are included. They are not included with the EV9 here. Just gonna see what else you guys may be wondering about. I think I said it earlier, but I'm not entirely sure. There is no heat pump on this specific trim level. That is one trim up when you get the longer range battery pack with the rear-wheel drive drivetrain. So what you get on this vehicle instead is a PTC heater, or positive temperature coefficient heater. That kind of acts like a space heater. It does a really good job at getting things warm and doing it quickly, but it will consume a little bit more range or energy than a heat pump. But with that being said, a heat pump in the winter, like the dead of winter where it is very, very cold, won't be that efficient anyway and will rely on energy from the PTC heater. So, you know, it's great, it's good, but it's also, if it's really cold, it will need help from the PTC. Any EV related questions, you guys? Is EV10 near? I don't think the EV10 is near. EV4 is near, EV3 is near, EV5 is near, but not EV10. I have no idea what that would be other than, I'm assuming, a van. I think that would make sense if this is the 9. The only thing we got bigger than that is a van. We'll see. 10-seater van. PV5. Yeah, so the PV5, they've had quite a few influencers and car reviewers drive it. Seems pretty cool. They didn't let us see it, but Charlotte and I might be going to the LA Auto Show next month, and I'm assuming it will be there. We have seen our purpose-built vehicles kind of as concepts in the past. We weren't able to actually film them though. They were all always blocked off or locked, so we couldn't get in there. I would really, really love to be able to get inside one of those cars and kind of explore it for you guys, film it up for the channel. Is it Christian's birthday? Happy birthday, Christian. Hey, my birthday's tomorrow, for real. Oh my goodness, happy. Guys, we're all Libras. Look at us. Look at us. What's the difference between the Kia EV9 and the EV6 beside the size? So there's quite a bit. Size is definitely the biggest thing though. So of course with the EV6, while we still have that 400 to 800 volt charging architecture, we do have a smaller battery capacity. So that is an 84 kilowatt battery, and then there is a lighter or shorter range, smaller battery pack option available too. It's of course also going to be a 2-row vehicle, so of course 2 seats in the front, 3 in the rear. There's no 3-row option. The EV6 also, it's got more trim variability now, but in the past, we had a GT Performance version of it, we had 2 GT lines, and then we had a couple other trim levels that are just some more regular styling in terms of EVs. Now we have no full GT, we have a GT line, we have a premium pack, we have more options in terms of color and interiors now, which is quite nice, and new technology. So we now have the same interface that the EV9 came out with available on the EV6. The EV6 also now has the North American charging standard. So that's one thing I will point out with most of our Kia and Hyundai vehicles. As far as tech specs go, you can get pretty much everything on our cars. So if you really, really love, you know, the 360 camera display that's available on the EV9, you can also get that in the EV6. So depending on what trim levels you're shopping at, you can get comparable between the two models. I don't know if that made sense, but the biggest difference between those two cars is, of course, going to be the size. If you need a family SUV, more specifically a 3-row SUV, the EV9 will probably be better suited than something like the EV6. The EV11 is a school bus. Does the base light rear-wheel drive model include vehicle-to-load capability? So it does have the interior vehicle-to-load, and that is located in the cargo area, that household inverter, but it does not come with the adapter that you plug into the exterior port. Is the EV6 faster than the EV9? Or sorry, the other way around. So it depends what trim level you're looking at. We do have a higher horsepower and torque output available on the all-wheel drive long-range version of the EV9, and now the EV9 also has a GT Sport variant, which is faster than all of them. But there was a time where the EV6 came brand new with the GT model as well, and that was about 375 horsepower, 345 pound-feet of torque. That was pretty quick. That was 0 to 100 in 3.5 seconds. The new EV9 GT is 0 to 100 in about, I think it's 4.2 or 4.3. We'll have to try it again. We'll have to figure it out again. Either way, both cars are very, very quick. But in my opinion, I do think the EV6 makes a little bit more sense as a performance SUV than a 3-row performance SUV. That's just my opinion. It's going to handle better. It's not a rectangle. Will the K5 be going EV in the future? So I can't speak for you guys in the States, but I know here in Canada we don't have the K5 at all. What we will get is something called the Kia EV4. That is going to be our electric sedan. Will that take place the K5 for us? I mean, I guess so. We don't even have a K5. But it will be a larger sedan. So a little bit bigger than the K4, roughly. The K4 is already almost in K5 territory in terms of length. So, is the EV9 equipped with any self-healing materials? No. All right. Is there a show on Monday because of the same holiday we do in November, or is the car store closed? Oh, well, yeah, so we are closed on Monday. There will be no live stream, but we do have videos going up still. That's probably it for today's video, you guys. I am at 43 minutes and no sleep, so I'm going to end up today's video. We'll see you guys back on Wednesday. That's right, no live stream on Tuesday either. Charlotte and I are doing something really cool. We're speaking at a panel, an automotive news panel. They want to hear what we have to say. So we're going to talk in front of people. I'm a little nervous about it. Anyway, I'm yapping too much. Take care. Have a great long weekend. Have a great Thanksgiving. Spend time with your family. Have some good food. If you guys are in the States and you're not celebrating Thanksgiving this weekend, still spend time with your family, eat some good food, and watch the Kia Hyundai channel. Bye-bye.